The world ended. Didn't you get the memo?
What do you suggest?
You're listening to Dead Air on 89.5 The Wave, KCFB Ferguson.
Think about something else. Puppies and kittens. Dead puppies and kittens.
That is right. You are listening to the one, the only Dead Air here on 89.5 The Wave. I'm your host, your friend, the neighborhood DJ, JazzHandss, here to talk about last Sunday's very fun, very, very epic, and honestly, probably one of my favorite episodes to date of The Walking Dead. And I am joined with Paul.
Hey, hey.
Anna Mae.
Hello.
And Mose. First time on the show. Mose is here.
Yeah, you didn't think this would ever happen, did you?
No. I honest to God never thought I'd see the day. I never thought I'd see the day. So I am over the moon. But just a warning to everybody who is out there, spoilers are abound, so be ready for that. And now, let's dive right in. Walking Dead, you need to stop this. I'm serious. You need to stop this. You need to stop killing off characters that we love to introduce more characters we love. We got two characters that I've absolutely fallen in love with. And one is a tiger, and the other is, of course,
Jerry.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Jerry. You gotta love Jerry. How can you not love Jerry? I mean, the dude walks up and says, it's fruit time. In the zombie apocalypse, I'm sorry if somebody came up to me and said that, I'd be like, hell yeah, it's fruit time.
The one thing I wouldn't say is deuces.
Yeah. No, King Ezekiel, though. Two amazing characters. I just hope Jerry doesn't die. I hope he's not cannon fodder. But
he's gonna die.
Totally gonna die.
They're all gonna die.
He's the comedy relief. He's gotta die.
You like him, so he'll die, JazzHandss.
It's all your fault.
That's probably the truth. That's more.
I'm pretty sure the writers of the show listen to this show just to know who you like so they know who to kill next.
Exactly. So, okay, we gotta dive right in. What were your guys' thoughts on the episode? I mean, because this was, compared to last week's episode, this was a relatively funny episode. Really funny. So, who wants to go first? What would you like about the episode? What you didn't like? Let's hear.
It was a very lighthearted episode. Very, as you said, very funny. It was good to see Carol and Morgan again. I loved Ezekiel. Loved him. Awesome character. My ship is being destroyed, but I will still hang on. My people are shipping Carol and Ezekiel. First off, no ship. My Daryl Carol ship must live. But episode itself, really good, lighthearted, good characters. Loved Shiva. It was good to see the kingdom. It almost reminded me of a more prosperous Woodbury in a way, except we don't have a psychotic ruler. Well, we kind of do, but Ezekiel has his own secrets. He's got his own mask, as we'll learn later on in the episode. Mm-hmm. But it was really good. Loved it. Lighthearted and definitely good from what we had from last week, which tore all of us another one.
Me?
Yeah, Mo.
Yeah,
well,
go for it.
You breathed. Your turn.
Exactly.
I should have known. I should have never done that. No, I thought it was very interesting to throw Carol in that kind of situation again after all the experience she's had with civilizations that look all peaceful and nice, just totally falling apart. Mm-hmm. I liked her reaction. I think that was my favorite part of the whole episode, honestly, was the way Carol handled it.
Yeah.
Because, the whole time you can, she's trying to act like, oh, this is just so wonderful as her act. Mm-hmm. But underneath it, it's not even like, I need to get my stuff and get out of here. This is hilarious.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think she summed it up amazingly in the first couple minutes of the episode.
Definitely.
I don't know what's going on in the most wonderful way.
Yeah.
And if you didn't pick up on it, by the end of the episode, the way she said, when King Ezekiel asked, what are you laughing at? And she says, you and this whole place, it's a joke. Mm-hmm. Isn't that what you do with jokes? I think that was it was just brilliant, and I liked seeing it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's something I didn't know if we'd ever get to see Carol be able to, have a sense of humor about the stuff around her, but putting her in such an absurd situation was, I think it was fun for the viewers, and it made sense for the character to have to face something like that at this point, I think.
I really like the episode. I like the change in tone from the season premiere. I mean, just, you needed that. You need to have a break after such a heavy episode to start the season, and it had to happen.
Yes.
To get back to one that's a little bit more lighthearted, and frankly, the fact that they've split up the group again, and it looks like they're going to kind of do the whole jumping around thing like they did back in season 4 after the prison. I'm almost convinced that's going to happen for at least the first couple of episodes. They're going to jump from this group to that group to this group. And it was nice to see one focusing on Morgan and Carol and the dynamic that is building between Morgan and Carol, because there was a really strange thing that happened in the last half of season 6 with Morgan and Carol, which Carol changed from Killer Carol to I don't know if I can do this again Carol, and Morgan killed a man to save Carol, which was something that he said he would never do. And I thought it was really, really nice that they're now starting to expand on that dynamic and how both of them are coming to grips with the changes that they've made. Meeting Ezekiel and Shiva, awesome. Jerry rocks. Sorry, Jerry's going to take Daryl's place if Daryl gets killed by Negan. Jerry's going to be like the new Daryl.
Yeah.
No.
I agree. We need.
I'm calling it right now. Jerry's going to be Daryl. But it was really, really good, and I loved towards the end, and I don't want to jump ahead, but the scene with Ezekiel and Carol in the garden, it kind of lets you in on, as Mose put it, the joke.
Yeah, and I think that, for one thing, because we're going to be talking about that, but I feel that definitely needed to happen. My thoughts on the episode, loved it. I'm with you guys. I loved it. It was such an interesting and fun episode, and honestly, I like that it didn't go back to, okay, well, we're done with the heavy stuff. Now let's go into light, heavy stuff. Like, this was a genuinely lighter episode that was more character-driven and more character-based, and so it was fun. It was extremely fun to see the kingdom, and Anna, I think you're right. It is like a more flourishing Woodbury that has its head on straight.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was interesting, and that was very unique. And I kind of, when I was watching it and watching Ezekiel and Shiva and everything like that, I kind of realized that we're getting introduced to two new groups that essentially are two different sides of the same coin, with Ezekiel and Negan being the leaders.
Yeah.
It's and so that's fantastic. I'm loving the episode. I absolutely love the episode, and I really actually hope we get more like it, more lighthearted, more kind of, I wouldn't say comical, but have funny stuff happen, because no matter who you are, I don't think anybody in the world's going to be 100% serious in the apocalypse. You're going to meet those people that are just, that the world hasn't broken them yet. But speaking of Ezekiel, my God. Now, I want to know your guys' opinion. I mean, from when you first saw him to when, you know, the big reveal at the garden scene, because fantastic acting. What were your guys' thoughts on Ezekiel?
I liked the fact that Ezekiel came in and was so regal and maintained it, and then by the end he's like, look, you know, hey, I'm just a normal guy, but this is what they need. They need somebody to be this leader, and frankly, you get a guy walking around with a tiger, and people are going to start talking and telling stories, and he becomes larger than life, and now I am living up to that. And I think it's awesome that he has that whole outlook on it, is, you know what? I'm going to live up to the stories because the stories will help keep us safe. And realistically, yeah, you notice Negan's group treats the kingdom a lot differently than they do all the other groups that they deal with.
Loved meeting Ezekiel. I thought as they said in Talking Dead, I thought they stepped back into like the Ren Fair. I'm a huge Ren Fair girl, so it's like, what is this? Why are we suddenly in the Middle Ages? What is this? But I could kind of pick up on the acting, I guess, because I've been in theater. I kind of could see the front he was putting up, the persona as the mighty king with the frigging amazing tiger. I love the interactions with the other townspeople. Although, I don't know, Ezekiel might have a little, I don't know if he's got like an interest in young Ben. I know we're probably going to be talking about him at least a little bit into the episode. But he seemed like he had a little, like, I kind of want to keep you around, because he was asking Morgan to help train him. So it's like, oh, well, if you want to keep this guy around specifically, you must have some purpose for him.
And in response to what you just said, you can't exist in this world without people.
True.
Yeah. No, No, I had mixed feelings about Ezekiel. When he first came in, I loved the character because my initial thought was, man, if I had a tiger and I was in the situation, I would absolutely start acting like I'm a king and just roll with it. But no, I had some problems with him later on, actually, during the garden scene, because when we learned his backstory and learned that he worked in community theater for some reason. Now, without delving too deep into what I do and the things I handle, I see a lot of community theater. Like, I just do. It's part of what my job is. I don't know if I'd trust any of those people to lead a civilization.
But he was a zookeeper as well.
That's true.
And he has a tiger.
I do trust my zookeepers quite a lot.
Yeah.
So it's this weird thing where, like, between, like, two extremes, like, the trustworthy zookeeper and then community theater actor. And I'm like, I don't know. But those are my feelings about Ezekiel.
Awesome. Yeah, my feelings. I absolutely loved Ezekiel, and congrats, like, awesome for Carrie Payton, who's the actor that plays King Ezekiel. He did a phenomenal job. And when I found out that King Ezekiel, Carrie Payton, is a voice actor, and not only does, like, minor stuff, he was Cyborg in Teen Titans.
Oh, snap.
He was Cyborg in Teen Titans.
You didn't know?
He's been Grimlock in the new Transformers, Robots in Disguise. He's been in a lot of, like, cool voice acting stuff that growing up I've watched, and now kind of getting to see him in a live action role. It's like, oh, this is cool. And after figuring out that it was Cyborg, I could just kind of hear Cyborg putting on, like, a little
a regal front
Thor accent,
yeah.
kind of. It was pretty fun. But my thought, like, Ezekiel, he is such an interesting character, and I'm kind of glad, Anna, that you brought up Ben, I believe his name is?
Yeah,
Yes.
Benjamin.
Yes.
Benjamin, yeah. I'm glad that you brought that up, because what I like most about King Ezekiel is he's not only trying to survive, he's trying to give people in this world purpose and give them a reason to survive. When he was talking to Morgan about, will you train him? And he's like, yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, my philosophy with the stick, it's okay. And he's like, well, did it help you? Did it help you? He's like, yeah. Then it can help him. So I think what he's trying to do is he's not just trying to survive day to day. He's trying to give people a reason to live. And I really like that philosophy about him. And I hope we see more stuff of that coming up even in Rick's group.
Yeah, he really wants to help his people and to have them not just be fodder for Negan's men or anyone else who might come and try and mess with the kingdom. He wants them to be trained, and he sees that Morgan's a good fighter in his own way, but he's a good fighter.
Well, there's that, and then there's also the fact that when Morgan and the rest of the group went out to the Saviors, and, you know, granted, Morgan pulled a gun, which we're going to be getting into that a little bit later, and he was like, did you only bring me out here because I killed one of them and I'll do it again? And it's like, no, I did it because I know you wouldn't. And so I really feel that these philosophies that Ezekiel's been building are fantastic in this world and something that we haven't seen. It's not surviving day to day. One other thing that I absolutely loved about it was, and I think we're all in agreement, his story had to kind of come full circle, and we needed to get his backstory right up front.
Yes.
Within the end of
Agreed.
the episode.
Yes.
We had to see the illusion first and be like, okay, this is okay, this is kind of new, but if it would have dragged on for maybe 3 or 4 episodes, I think we would have been like, what is this? This isn't. Is this turning into Game of Thrones? What's going on here?
I will say, I agree with you. I think it needed to happen all within one episode, because I think it would have been cheaper if it had gone on, and then finally he was just like, look, I'm just a regular guy, you know. I do this because it helps them believe me, and
It almost would have
we're all
been
cool. Yeah, it would have been like, oh, really? Come on.
It almost would have been like Eugene again.
Yeah.
Finding out that he's not a scientist. Granted, I love Eugene, one of my favorite characters, but still, it's like once when you figure out that, oh, he doesn't have a cure and he's not even a scientist, he's just smart, it's like, come on, that's a bummer. So yeah, this definitely needed to happen in the pacing, and it's one of those things where too, it's the tiger definitely helps, but I also think it's Ezekiel's just overall personality and how he's trying to take traits from all these different leaders. Like how he said, you know, he's like, oh yeah, I've played some kings in my day, Macbeth, and
Arthur.
King Arthur,
Lear,
and
MLK.
Martin Luther.
Martin Luther King. So I think he's trying to take that and kind of he built this persona. And granted, it could be one of those things too where he's built this persona and he's trying to build up this kind of fake wall around himself so that hey, if something bad happens, it's this persona, not actually me, so I'm doing it not to get hurt. Again, in this world, which I think we've seen quite a lot, how like Abraham and now Sasha, I believe, is focusing on the mission. You focus on certain things, and his whole thing was, I got a tiger, and I was in community theater. I'm rolling with it. But why do you guys think that he did open up to Carol in the first place? Why, of all people, somebody that he's only known for like a day or two, why do you think he would open up to Carol?
I think there are a lot of parallels between him and Carol that he was able to see. I mean, the thing is, like he said, you don't BS a BSer.
Yep.
Love that
Great line.
Awesome.
I love that he called her out on that too. I love it.
I love that he spotted it.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of those things where if you do BS people all the time, you'll spot it. You'll know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the thing that I found most interesting about their two with all their parallels, there was one big difference in their reasoning. Carol did it to keep people out and to try and essentially distance herself from them so she can make a quick getaway if she needs to,
Mm-hmm.
And he saw that. Whereas he keeps up this facade to try and bring people together to keep them to keep up this illusion for their sake. Carol's it's all about what can Carol do to keep Carol where Carol wants to be. Whereas his whole thing is, I'm doing this for them. I'm doing this whole facade for them. And I think maybe it's one of those things where he opened up to her because he saw that Carol wasn't a bad person. He saw that she had good in her, but she was just on a weird path. Mm-hmm. And he even said, like, I'm sorry for whatever bad happened to you out there.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I wanted to say, what do you think that meant to Carol? That he essentially apologized for what the world did. I mean...
Well, and that he noticed that Carol is a product of being beaten down for so long and then finally just tempering up, and boom, she's gone. She's gone nuclear. Mm-hmm. Carol is not a together human being. Carol is a product of injury after injury after injury until she's just now a mass of scar tissue and basically deadly force. Mm-hmm. She puts on the mask, and I like the fact that, like you said, she's doing it partially, I think, to keep people away, but partially to not let people know exactly who they're dealing with. Mm-hmm. It's not only to keep people away, but she puts on this really harmless Susie homemaker, I'm going to make a nice casserole and some cookies later, so that they don't think, wow, wait a minute, is that the woman who executed 15 people, out on the road today because they pulled her over and they were trying to take her stuff? Well, yeah, actually it is. And I loved the fact that he saw through it right away.
Mm-hmm. I think him and Carol are going to get together.
No, my ship, no.
I really think that
I think that ship has sailed.
It's like the actor said, you don't put on a new clean shirt and go out to where somebody is in the zombie apocalypse unless you like them.
One-sided romance. That's all I can hope for.
Unless you like them. No, because Carol smiled at the end.
And he brought Shiva with him. I mean, if you really, really like a girl, you're going to bring the tiger.
You wouldn't just leave the tiger there.
JazzHandss, to be fair, though, just because a girl's smiling at you doesn't mean she likes you.
I understand that, but if Carol smiles at you, you kind of got to be like, okay, I'm doing something right. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. We got so much more to talk about within this episode, and I'm loving every moment of it. But we're going to be taking a quick break here on 89.5 The Waves Dead Air, and we'll be back right after this with more about Sunday's Walking Dead titled The Well. So stay tuned, everybody, because we will be back. That is right, you are listening to the one, the only Dead Air here on 89.5 The Wave. I'm your host, your friendly neighborhood DJ, JazzHandss, talking about last Sunday's very epic The Walking Dead, titled The Well, which, if you watch the episode, spoiler warnings are abound. But before that, we gotta talk a little bit more about Carol. Because Carol in this episode, I mean, she's been through so much this last, couple seasons. And so you see in the first part her kind of start to lose it. Not lose it, but you see when they're killing the walkers that they look like normal people for a split second, and then they switch back. What were your guys' thoughts on that? Do you think she was losing it? Do you think it was from her injuries and she was kind of having a fever dream? Or what do you think it is, and what do you think that's it signifies?
I assumed it was because of her injuries, because it mainly happened after the cart kind of flipped And she started seeing it was like, oh, they're normal people. No, wait, they're nasty. Oh, that's kind of where I got it. Was, hey, this is something from the injuries. She's off mentally. She's injured to the point where she's starting to have some hallucination problems. She's starting to have some issues, and that explains a little bit more why she was in the wheelchair and how long have I been out, that sort of thing when at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, I was very worried when I saw her starting to switch I was hoping it was hallucinations, and I'm glad to see it was just a fever dream, though she'd been knocked out for 2 days. That's like a year for Carol time. But I was very worried that we were going to have another Lizzie incident. Yeah. No Lizzie. Ugh, child scared me to death. But seeing Carol, see them as normal people, just blew my mind. It's like, no, Carol, no, they're bad. They're dead. They can die. It's okay. Mm-hmm. Just worried me. I was glad when it was just a fever dream. So I agree. Injuries, fever dream. Please, no more Lizzies. No more Lizzies.
What do you guys think why do you think Morgan carved that thing in the mailbox? That confused me. I didn't get why
he didn't carve the thing. He put the flag down.
No, he actually carved something in the mailbox.
Wow, how did I miss that? What did he carve?
When he squatted down, you didn't really see what he carved, but you saw him take a knife and kind of squat down on the mailbox post, and you could see he was carving something.
And then he put the flag up. What do you think that meant? What do you think that signified?
He put the flag up at first, and then he put the flag down when Carol moved.
Yeah.
In. Personally, I would say that's kind of how he tracks where he's been and tries to let other people know where he's been if they're looking for him. Mm-hmm. You saw him do that in the lead up to Morgan getting reintroduced to the group. As he was going through the woods, he would carve symbols on the trees.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's just something that he's, hey, if I need to find my way back, I can run. And if I see this symbol, I know I've been here, so I look for the next one.
Well, and here's the whole thing, too, because like he said, he marks it to either try to know where he's been or, possibly Rick or somebody follow it just in case something happened. But the fact that he put down the mailbox, put down that little flag, do you think that could possibly symbolize that he might not want to go back to Alexandria? He might not want to go back to Rick and the fighting and having to deal with people that are just trying to survive, and essentially Rick's group, which, let's be honest, they've become kind of tainted with this whole power trip and surviving, and they like the fight. And I feel King Ezekiel and the Kingdom are giving Morgan another way out, where it's like we're not going to resort to violence right out the gate.
I think it's a possibility.
Honestly, I think the gesture of putting the flag down didn't have anything to do with Morgan himself. I think it had to do with Carol.
I agree.
Because the whole idea of the mailbox is when the flag's up, that means there's something in there, you should go check it out. When the flag's down, it means there's nothing outgoing. Mm-hmm. I think that was just like a little metaphorical thing, like there's no need to go in and check on this person. They have nothing they're sending out right now.
Mm-hmm. Carol's here.
Yeah, Carol's there, but it's all about her having the time to herself, to get her own stuff together.
Yeah, and I think Morgan respects that.
In regards to whether or not he's going back to Rick, though, I think he's going to feel a need to, because Carol is part of Rick's family, and he's going to feel like he has to let Rick at least know what happened to this member of his family.
That's true.
Yeah. I think if he may not stay, but I think he's definitely got to go back. He's going to have to face that.
Speaking of Morgan's philosophy, what were you guys' thoughts that he kind of openly admitted, I've been on the wrong path both ways. I've been either super trying to not kill and be this really good person and this all life is precious, and then I've also been this murder, making Jason Voorhees look like
Betty Crockett.
Yeah, make it look like Betty Crockett.
Let's at least reference Michael Myers, okay? Yesterday was Halloween.
Yes, yeah, okay, Michael Myers. But and now he's kind of, he knows what he's doing, and granted he pulled the gun out on the guy. Like, what are your thoughts that he's now not only trying to teach a philosophy to somebody else, but realizing that's not my path?
I don't know if I would say he was on the wrong path, but he tried one extreme, tried the other, found, okay, neither of them really works for who I am, so I'll just go down the medium, have one side and the other, and have them kind of combined to be, it's like chocolate, vanilla, ooh, swirl. It works both ways. So, he just has to find his own path and find out what really works for him. And as he was talking about with Ezekiel and then with Ben, it's like, I've been down both. Neither works for me. I'll just have to find what works for me specifically, like you do.
In the world they exist in, and also in the world we exist in, there's such a thing as being too soft, but also being too hard. You know what I'm saying? You can't... Mm-hmm. I think he's realizing you can't go to the extremes Carol has gone to, where you're just ready to kill somebody because you're not great, you're going to be a problem.
Gotta kill you.
And granted, it's not like she jumps to that extreme all the time. I mean, let's face it, there was a car of like 15 dudes, and she tried giving them a chance to not get themselves killed.
And then splattered them when they screwed up.
But when it comes right down to it, like, I think he realized you can't go to these extremes one way or the other, because if you do, nothing good's going to happen.
No.
You have to find a nice middle ground, and sometimes you have to sway more one way or the other, but it has to be fluid.
What I was going to say is, and we were kind of mentioning this, patting this one back and forth off air, but somebody brought up the fact that, you know, before he was walking down his own path of madness when he was Killer Morgan. Mm-hmm. And then he was walking down Eastman's path. And neither of those paths were really his.
No.
I mean, the one was basically, he devolved into madness and was just, I'm going to kill everything that's around. It was strictly anger. You know, then Eastman's, it was strictly pacifism. And he's realized that neither of those works long term. There are times when you have to take elements from this one and times that you have to take elements from that one. And I think Morgan now is just starting to build his own philosophy and his own path. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I think, Mose, you mentioned or was it you, JazzHandss? The quote from King Ezekiel about
I think I did
the pessimist looks down
and
hits his head. The optimist looks up, loses his footing. The realist looks ahead and adjusts his path.
Uh-huh.
And that's kind of where Morgan is now. He's been the pessimist, he's been the optimist, and now he's kind of looking ahead and saying, okay, I need to make these small adjustments to my philosophy. And I liked the fact that when he was teaching Ben, and Ben asked about the philosophy and the inscription in the beginning, he's like, that was someone who taught me, but that is not my thoughts anymore.
Yeah.
I really think Morgan's reluctance to teach Ben at the get-go says a lot about Morgan's state of mind where he's at, you know? Mm-hmm. Because it's a thing where he was so keen and he was so set on, I'm going to tell all these people in this town I got to, hey, you don't have to kill. You can find another way. But now he's at a point where there's one kid, and this guy's asking him, can you teach him? And he's like, I don't think I can. I don't think I should, because I think that says a lot about where he's at mentally. Just he's not in a place where he feels comfortable trying to pass anything on to anyone else because he's not sure what he believes in right now.
But you guys think that by training Ben, he'll find his path?
I do.
I think so.
I don't know. I think Ben's going to die before that happens.
Yeah, you know,
he probably will.
I don't want to.
You are the
say
optimist.
that.
I'm the realist.
Yeah,
he is the realist.
I don't want to say that, but introducing characters like Ben and unfortunately Jerry. Oh God, Jerry.
Ben and Jerry. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
But unfortunately, introducing characters like that, besides Ezekiel, I don't know if they'll last. Unfortunately, a lot of these characters now I see as cannon fodder, and so I actually really hope that we get this bigger cast again, and we get this core group of, like, you know, Jerry hanging out with anybody.
Just serving fruit.
Get Jerry's own spinoff.
I would watch that.
The Walking Jerry.
When Fear the Walking Dead fails, Fruit Time with Jerry.
Fruit Time with Jerry, yeah.
Fruit Time with Jerry. It'd almost be like the zombie equivalent to Seinfeld.
Oh my goodness.
I think we would.
Juices, dude, have some fruit.
Just Jerry walks in, want some fruit? Oh, Jerry. And then there's your episode. We just pitched you another award-winning show, AMC. We better get royalties.
Next hit.
We better get royalties.
It's going to be bigger than Hell on Wheels.
Exactly. But Morgan, I'm really excited to see where his whole story goes and where his path eventually leads to, because he is very interesting. And the one thing is that I'm worried about is I'm really worried that at the end of this season he's going to run into Negan and it's not going to be good. I really think that his death is going to be the one thing that pushes Rick and probably Ezekiel now to let's go to all out battle. Let's go to the all out war arc. But okay, predictions for next episode. Because I think I think it's like you said, Paul, we're going to be getting this split of, we're going to see these different characters. So we had Rick in the group, and now we got Morgan and Carol and King Ezekiel, which after this episode, I'm actually really excited to get back to that episode, because this is probably been one of my favorite episodes of all time in The Walking Dead.
Agreed.
Yeah, it was a really good one.
Yeah, all time. So predictions for next episode. Anybody want to go first?
Predictions. I would say we're definitely going to get the split. We're going to see Negan interacting with Daryl, and I don't want to see Negan try and bring Daryl in, but at the same time he might, because he even said in the preview part of it, it's like, you're not scared easily, or something. I think it was frightened or scared easily.
You don't scare easily.
There it is. You're not scared easily. So it's like, what's he going to do to Daryl? What's going to make the fangirls squeal in terror that their poor little Daryl's getting hurt? Not me, though. Then we're going to see, I think Dwight's going to see what's going on with Negan and see what's going on with Daryl, and see, I don't know, Daryl might get, busted up a little and might have Dwight go off on his own, and we'll see the stretch that we got in the mid-season prequel of just Dwight going down the road and seeing the walkers and looking at the walker going, do I really have to do this? No, I gotta go think. So we're gonna get Negan and Daryl first, then we're gonna get Dwight, and we might go back to Negan and Daryl. That's what I'm predicting.
I'm really looking forward to seeing more of what life is like inside Sanctuary.
Yeah.
I mean, do they really have a functioning society, or is it just everybody working under Negan for the benefit of Negan, and they get a little bit? Because unless you're one of the privileged few, that's kind of the impression that I've gotten from it, is you basically do everything for Negan, and
if you're lucky, you don't die.
You'll get a little bit. You'll get enough to survive, but so I think it's going to be interesting. I think we are going to see Daryl. We're going to see Dwight. I think we're going to start seeing the beginnings of Dwight changing sides. Yeah, Anime's not happy about that one, but I think it's going to happen. I'm sorry.
I agree with that, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's not my place to make these predictions, man. I'm not a clairvoyant, and when it comes right down to it, the showrunners are going to show us what they want us to see.
True.
We have no control over these matters, and I'm not gonna try and guess, because it'd be like shooting
fish in a barrel.
No, because that's too easy. It'd be like shooting fish in a running stream.
I really do believe that it's like you said, Paul, we are going to start seeing the inner workings of the Saviors. We're going to start seeing how they function, how their society is actually built. I also think we're going to get a little glimpse of, because remember in the little preview trailer, we saw Daryl and it looks like a couple other people that were enslaved, like, bow. And we've seen people bow whenever Negan walks by. I think it might be one of those things where we're going to see how they break people. We're going to see how Negan got this big army and why so many people follow one man. So I think we're going to get a little bit into that and give an explanation of, oh, that's why. This is why. Not just fear, but there's something else going on. I also believe that...
what if Negan has 2 tigers?
2 tigers and a bear. But I also feel that we're going to get into more of, and it's like I've been saying, I've been preaching this since last season, and I'm still going to be preaching it now. We're going to get it more into realizing that not all the Saviors are bad people, and given a way out, they will take this way out. And I feel that with having these different story arcs of having King Ezekiel and his crew, having Rick and his crew, then having Tara and running into either another group or the Saviors or Tara and her crew, and then having Daryl in with the Saviors, I really feel that we're getting these branching story arcs that are eventually going to become one, and we're going to realize not all the Saviors are bad people. I really feel that what happened to Rick and the crew is not even the tip of the iceberg for what Negan can do.
It better not be. It's the first episode
of
the season.
Yeah.
I think as the season goes on, we're going to see a lot more brutality from Negan. We're going to, possibly in the next episode, find out exactly how brutal he rules.
Mm-hmm. And I'm interested to see if Negan is as built as a wall as everyone thinks, or if he is intimidated by King Ezekiel, and possibly even a little intimidated by Rick. He demoralized Rick and he pushed Rick down. But there's also this kind of maybe possibility that he might be a little bit intimidated. So he had to break Rick as soon as possible and as hard as possible.
I think he was intimidated by Rick, seeing what Rick did to his people. I mean, you heard him say it himself. You killed a lot of my people.
More than I'm comfortable with.
Yeah. I think that really intimidated Negan, and I think that's why he was so hell-bent on breaking Rick as thoroughly and dramatically as he did.
But thanks everybody so much for tuning in. It's been a blast. I'm your friendly neighborhood DJ JazzHandss, and we'll see you all next week. Bye everybody.